Okay, hey everyone, welcome to our top enroller call. So, you guys are super special because you get to be on this call with our guest, my sweet friend Ryan Evans. And so, I'm so proud of you guys. There were some amazing things that happened in July and super fun. People, all of you, got recognized for being a top enroller. I have to shout out Debbie Proctor because she was at the very top of the list and added 13 people in the month of July. And this was one of those, like where she was messaging me, she's like, it's just not happening for me. Like, it's not working. You're discouraged. And then boom, all of a sudden, everything happens at once. So this business definitely happens in spurts. So congrats, Debbie, for being the top enroller for last month. That's super awesome. And I know she's already added 4 people this month. She's already earned Leaders Retreat, and there's lots of exciting things happening. So congrats to all of you because you all are leaders and top enrollers on our team. So proud of you. And Ryan, thank you so much for being willing to pop on with us for a few minutes. I'm going to actually let Ryan share a little bit of her story and just share some top tips because I know she is where so many of you guys want to be. So Ryan, go ahead and or let's see, I can unmute you, I think. There you go.
I got it.
Hey, thanks for being on with us.
Guys, congratulations. So Megan told me like incredible things about this group. So I'm super honored to get to talk to you. And I'm sure most of you already saw that they've changed the Leaders Retreat qualifications and they've lowered the credit. So if you haven't earned it yet, it's a little bit easier and that's nice. But I also feel like saying this because it's a realization that I think a lot of you need to know now. Somebody is going to join Plexus this week and earn Leaders Retreat. So you have like 0 excuses. You've already, if you're on this call, your credits are pretty good because you've at least recruited, and so you have some great recruiting points there. But do not get discouraged if you have not earned it yet, because there is somebody that is going to join this week and they are going to be determined to be there, and they will be. So maybe that's a little kick that you need to light your fire and keep going. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about my story. If you haven't heard it yet, it might sound like similar to some of the others you've heard. I was an absolute Plexus hater. I wanted nothing to do with Plexus. In fact, I was that girl that I posted some not very nice things about Plexus on Facebook. I was struggling with a lot of different health issues. And when I saw people posting about how they were feeling good and then they were earning free trips and they were earning a paycheck and I was sick and I was broke, I was just not in a very good headspace to be cheering on other people, if that makes sense. And so I posted not nice things about Plexus. I could not believe that people were stealing money selling snake oil. That's really legitimately what I thought. And Jessica Heffley sent me multiple messages reaching out to me, and I ignored all of them. And then finally she said, I'm coming up to your work, because that is the only way she was going to be able to talk to me about it. And so she came up to my work and she came at me with curiosity. Now she was super, super nervous to talk to me. In fact, I kind of remember her shaking a little bit as she was talking to me in my office, because I was pretty intimidating. Because she knew I was blasting her on Facebook. That was not a nice friend move of mine, but she came from a place of curiosity. She wanted to know about my celiac disease. Everybody knew I was pretty sick. At the time I was down to 105 pounds. I was extraordinarily thin. I wasn't absorbing nutrition. I had big chunks of my hair. Y'all remember that, like where the side ponytails were like really popular for a while? Like I had to wear my hair swooped up like that for Sometimes because my hair was thinning so bad in places. The eyelashes in this eye were gone, and they were just not growing back. I mean, I had a few, but anyway, it was just I was not absorbing nutrition. I was going in sometimes twice a month, at least once a month, to get an infusion. Of course, I was on a gluten-free diet, 4 iron pills a day, which if you know what iron does to your system, it's just really unpleasant. And I was racking up medical debt, and that was my life. And I didn't want to hear about plexus, but I told her in my office, I'm like, Jessica, listen, I was like, if I had the money to try it, I really would, because I could tell it was really important to her, for me to try it. And so I was like, but I just don't have the money. And I really legitimately did not have the money. I mean, I didn't even have a line of credit. I couldn't have even put it on a credit card. I did not have the money. And so she gifted me the product. She gave me the triplex and XFactor, which was our XFactor original. She's like, if I gave this to you, would you take it every single day and let me know how you're doing? And I was like, fine. I was like, but when I take this and it doesn't work for me, I am going to let people know on Facebook that you are a fraud and that you are selling something to people that does not work. She was like, okay. And so she gave it to me, and I was a little upset with myself that I said yes, because I was nervous I was going to choke down something that I didn't like, and I ended up loving the taste, which was that's a huge plus for us, you guys. To have a product that tastes good is a huge plus. And so I took the product. She checked in with me almost every single day when I first started, almost every single day, and she was getting excited, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Her excitement was contagious. And I was like, well, I actually liked the taste, so that's a good thing. And she would message me at night. Did you take your pills for nighttime? I mean, it was a constant, like, are you getting the pills in your body? But because, she gifted them to me and she was messaging me, I stayed very consistent. She was also I was a Coca-Cola addict. I was drinking tons of Coke a day. She was like, you've got to stop that. That's not good for you. And so she was really on my case about making healthier choices. And guys, Coca-Cola, can really destroy your body. And so because I was replacing that with water, and I was taking the supplements, balancing my blood sugar, getting that nutrition in, it was the 30th day. I remember this because I drank my last slim stick, and she gave me a full package of 30. I drank my last slim stick, and that was the day I went in to go get my infusion. I had a scheduled doctor's appointment, and what I would do is it was a hematologist oncologist office. So I would go in, they would analyze my blood work up the cocktail of the nutrition I needed, and I would sit with all the oncology patients getting their cancer treatment, and I would just get hooked up to a machine, and it would feed me my nutrients straight into my blood. And of course, there were occasions where my hemoglobin level was so low, and they could not figure out why, that I'd have to get a blood transfusion as well. So it was the first time in 3.5, almost 4 years, that the doctor analyzed my blood work and I didn't have to have an infusion. And it was crazy. And something interesting too, you should know that my doctor is actually, y'all know Diamond Carissa Casey? That is her uncle. Her uncle was my doctor. And so that gave her massive belief. And I think it was a huge contributing factor. My doctor couldn't jump or didn't feel comfortable jumping in and working the business, but he saw the transformation. And I think he was very intent on making sure his niece knew too, that the products are really actually working quite well. I still wasn't going to work the business. You know, that was something I wasn't interested in doing. I had really ripped apart plexus. I was like, okay, fine. I'll borrow the money from my in-laws and I'll sign up wholesale because that's the best price. But I'm not going to work this business. But Jessica added me to her team page, and that's something I really want to encourage you to do. Guys, when you add a new ambassador, Justin and Megan have a simple system set up. And it's a system for your team to use. And if you are not connecting them with your team and your upline, it makes duplication so much more difficult. And part of the process and part of the benefit of Plexus is us. It's the team of people that you get. You know, you're not in it alone. You're not in it alone. So that's part of the price. It's why they can't buy it at Walmart. And so because she connected me to that team page, and I'm sure you've heard my story, you know, I had a situation where my son, he woke up, he was hungry, my formula can was empty. I wasn't getting a paycheck until the next day. And I put my baby to bed hungry that night. And it was a moment, I remember it very vividly on my kitchen floor. And I had prayed to God so hard to send me something that would help my health and something that would transform my family's finances. And it was just like a click, like maybe this could be it, because you know that it was $210 every single time I went to get an infusion, but I could not afford it. And of course, medical debt, they just tack it on. And it was just a constant $210 tacked on every single time. And that was really building up. And of course, that didn't include a lot of the other medical debt that I was getting in. And I was on my phone on Facebook scrolling because, you know, that was what I did whenever I was trying to get out of a funk and I was worrying. And Tamara Holloway had posted on Jessica Heffley's team page, The Power of Three. And I saw that number close to $15,000. You know, if you get 3 and they get 3 and you do that 7 levels deep, I saw $15,000 and I thought, $15,000? That's more than $1,000 a month. I was like, I got to figure out how to do that. And so I messaged Jessica. I'm like, okay, how do I make that $15,000 a year? That Power of Three thing. And she called me on the phone and she was like, Ryan, that is not yearly. That is a month. You're going to make that in 1 month. And I was like, it was done. Like that second, I was all in. I was like, oh, it's going down. I was like, you mean to tell me if I get 3 people and I teach them to get 3 people and I duplicate that down, I'm going to make $15,000 a month? I just couldn't even comprehend it. So that's what I did. It really is. The Power of Three is what lit me on fire. And I signed 3 people. And those 3 people I signed, I immediately got them to sign 3 people. The very first person I ever signed was Brittany Rhodes. And she was my very first Emerald Ambassador on my team. Now, guys, the other 2 people that I signed up, one is still a wholesale customer. Yeah, she brings in maybe 50 pay points to my team a month, but she's mainly just wholesale. The other girl lasted maybe 2 months, but I didn't stop. I realized, you know what? If I get 3 people and I help them get 3 people and I do that 7 levels deep, okay, that's a lot of, what if I got 7 people and then help them get 7 people and then did that, you know, what if you added 13 people? Just think, you know, not everybody is going to be the rock star that you're hoping for, but every single person has 3 people that need the products for their health. And so that's always my approach is I want you to be successful. So to set you up with success, let's get you 3 people to be your accountability partners. And that's really how I built my business. And I went Emerald within a year of that. I was working full time. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is when my school was open. I ran a child development center. And so I truly had to work the business in the nooks and crannies of my life. And people sometimes get really embarrassed when I say this, but I'm just going to keep it real. If you are working, you get a potty break. So when you go sit on the toilet, you take your phone with you and you do your work. Trust me, I got to Emerald on poop breaks. And that makes people super uncomfortable, but it's true. When I woke up in the morning, I had my post ready from the night before and I posted. And then I switched into work mode and I did that until I got my first potty break. And I would run down and I would sit on the toilet and I would do my work. And then the next time I would do my work and check my phone was my next potty break. And then, there's that whole 1 hour lunch break. And that 1 hour lunch break, Brittany Rhodes and I would work our tail ends off for 1 full hour. We were working. And that's kind of how I do my business. And the second my kids got in bed, I was working. And some of the things I have down that I wanted to make sure I mentioned was sacrifice. Guys, you have got to know your why. And I know that you've heard all of this stuff before, but whenever I hit Emerald, my why wasn't that I needed to feed my kids anymore. I got that covered my first week in Plexus. My first week in Plexus, I remember going grocery shopping. There's a picture, a very popular picture that you'll see all over Facebook possibly, of me with a grocery cart full of groceries and my little baby clapping and my other little, he was 3 at the time, like hanging onto the cart, excited, at a full basket of groceries. And that's what those business building bonus checks gave me. And so I had my why covered when I first started, the first week in the business. And so from then on, my why evolved and it changed. My why now is much different than it was, 6 months ago. And so you have to make sure that you keep that. I have a board right over here next to me. This is where I work. And my board's right there. And my board reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you have to have that in your face every single day, but it's going to take sacrifice. I didn't know what binging on Netflix was when I was trying to go Emerald, because it was not an option for me. It just wasn't. I was driving a car with no air conditioning, no heat. Every time I opened the door, the alarm went off. And the only way to get the alarm to go off was to start the car. And every single time I started the car, the wipers went off. And I had a baby and a 3-year-old, sensory issues. And so it was like, here we go. Every time I opened the door, I knew everybody was going to be screaming. It was a show. I mean, and every single time I turned left, my car died. I needed that Lexus, y'all. I was ready to have that Lexus, and I went and test drove that Lexus as a gold ambassador. And I went back multiple times and test drove that car. I could feel that the cars have air conditioning on your hiney. It comes out of the seat, and Arkansas heat, you want AC. And so I could feel that air conditioning on my booty every single time I got into my horrible car and drove it, which I was thankful for. Don't get me wrong. I was thankful that I had the transportation, but it really pushed me and drove me to get that Lexus. And of course, now they have the lifestyle bonus if that works better for you. So sacrifice, TV, sleep. Guys, I did sacrifice sleep because I was working full time. But you know what? You can train and program your brain to operate on a little bit less sleep. And that's okay. It was doable for that season. And the amount of work I had to do and push through, was I compensated for that at the beginning? No. But I worked like an emerald from day one. And when I hit emerald, it took me a little while, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to work like a sapphire if I'm going to get to sapphire. And the same thing, when I went diamond, it was like, oh, I'm diamond. And it wasn't anything crazy, because a few months before that, I started working like a diamond. And that's when in my mind, that's when I went diamond. My numbers reflected it later. So everything that you think in your head, when I'm emerald, I'm going to do this. And, when I'm diamond, I'm going to do this. Guys, make out that list. That's exactly what I did. I made out a list. One of the things was, when I'm diamond, I'm really going to save my money. Y'all, you got to save your money when you're a sapphire. I mean, that was just the dumbest thing. I remember writing it down and thought, I need to be saving my money now. When I'm diamond, I'm going to give, oh, wait. I think, you know what? I think I could make it into my budget where I could give that now. Or when I'm diamond, I'm going to do this with my team. When I'm diamond, I'm going to spend this much time doing plexus or whatever it is. Do that now, and the Lord will fulfill that work later. So you have to do it now in order to see it fulfilled. I always like to tell people to add value, add value, add value. I want you to think about Rachel Hollis, whether you like that girl or not. She's a good example, and she's someone I know people will know who I'm talking about. Even a lot of y'all know about Preston, or even Bob. Bob's a good one. Bob Heilig. Okay, I want you to think about those people. They are constantly giving us stuff that adds value to our life for free. For free. It's this constant. I know Justin and Megan do it on their team page. They're constantly giving you things that add value to your life, to your business for free. And because they do the things for free, think about Rachel Hollis. That girl did so much stuff and it never cost us a penny, right? All of a sudden, girl puts out a book, everybody's buying it, right? All of a sudden, she's like, oh, I have this, gratitude journal. Everybody buys it. They're constantly putting out free things. Same thing with Bob. He's giving us great material, adding value to our lives, and it's free. But all of a sudden, he offers, a class or a training or a group, and it costs, $200 and something to get in. Guess what? We're going to spend our money on it because we know, wow, the value that of the things he's been giving me for free. For sure, it's worth our $200 to spend to get in his group. That is exactly what you have to do. That's how I have grown my business. I have worked as hard as I possibly can to add value to people for free. It costs them nothing. I don't know if y'all saw Megan, if you put any of the actively balanced content out there on your page or anything, but I do things intentionally that are going to add value to people for free, because you know what? They're going to want to then invest in the other things that I have, like our plexus products and our team and our community, because that's part of the value of the products that they get. And it works so well. My actively balanced challenge that I did, that 10-day challenge, it brought in over 100 people in that 10 days on my team because of the value it was adding to people's lives. And they were like, you know what? I want to be a part of this, because if you like this 10 days, you can have this community 24/7. Okay, let me see. The other thing I have to say is to stop the glorification of busy. I know what it's like to be busy. I know what it's like to have a diamond who sits her pretty little hind end in a pretty little pink chair and does nothing all day long say, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this. And I thought, oh, well, that's easy for you to say because you're not working, you know, but I feel like you need to know, I know what it's like to work full time, to volunteer multiple different things in the community and feel like you're busy, busy, busy. Stop the glorification of busy. We have nothing but time. You make a choice with what you do with your time. So if 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. you're stuck at work, you have a choice what you do while you sit on the pot, right? Just keeping it real. You have a choice what you do the second that you wake up, and you have a choice with what you do, you know, the second you get home from work. So we have nothing but time. You can only do one thing at a time, period. Like, have you ever been in the car trying to drive somewhere and the music is up and you get lost and you're trying to figure out where you're going? What do you have to do? Turn the radio down, right? Because technically, really, it's scientific fact. You really can only do one thing at a time. Yes, can we walk and talk? Yes, but if the conversation gets really intense or serious, what do? You stop walking. So stop this glorification of busy. You can't be mom, wife, and plexus leader. You need to pick one with your time. If you're going to be mom in that moment and turn everything else off. If you're going to be acting like you're the plexus diamond, be the plexus diamond in that moment and turn everything else off. And you have permission to do that. I have to give myself permission. I have to say, you know what? I love my family and I want to be there for them. But you know what? I also want to be able to pay for my kids' college 100% and have them never take out a student loan. And so right now, I'm going to give myself permission to put them first. And that means I have to turn it off and become Diamond Ryan. So stop the glorification of busy. One little domino that's 2 inches tall can knock over another domino that is 50% larger. Okay, so pretend like that one domino is your next right step. And every single morning, I used to have a saying on my mirror. Every single morning after I've prayed, I have to figure out what is my next right step for the day. Sometimes that's making a post. Sometimes that's following up with somebody. But there's always that domino at the beginning of the day you have to topple over. And it can knock over a domino that's 50% larger than that. And the next domino can be 50% larger than that. If you knock over that first 2-inch domino, domino number 52 literally reaches the moon. If each domino is 50% larger, 2-inch domino 57 goes to the moon. And so all you have to do is figure out at the beginning of your day, what is your 2-inch domino? And it builds on each other. So stop the glorification of busy and figure out what's my next right step. Sometimes your next right step is to feed your children. Sometimes your next right step is to take a shower. But figure out what your next right step is and be it all in on that. And then figure out what your next right step is. And it'll build your tower all day long, all the way to the moon. Okay, I have time for questions if you do.
Ryan, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all your stories and your wisdom with us. Okay, who has a question? Let me move it to gallery view. There we go. Feel free to unmute. Who has a question? Surely someone does. I do have a question for you, Ryan. So
Okay.
What would you say to someone that doesn't have an amazing, crazy health testimony like you? Do you feel like they should feel like, oh, well, I can't really build a business like you did because I didn't have celiac and I didn't have this huge, huge health story?
Yeah. Well, I definitely think that that can hold people back, but I think it's important to remember that some of our largest leaders in the company don't have massive health stories. Jessica Heffley doesn't necessarily have a massive personal health testimony. I mean, there are definitely things that the products have helped them with, but I think the important thing to remember is that there is somebody out there who does have that. And if you make a choice because you personally don't have some massive health testimony, then you're denying someone else the privilege of having an amazing health testimony. Um, and I think that's the beauty of a team. I kind of jokingly say there are a lot of people in our company that built their business on my health testimony. I joined Jessica as a gold when she was gold. And because my health testimony was so amazing, people were really able to utilize that. Because guys, whenever I was getting those infusions, I had this craze because I loved Coca-Cola. Y'all, when I say I love Coca-Cola, I mean like I loved Coca-Cola Classic. It was like a drug to me, okay? And there was this little lady who came by while I was getting my infusions with a cart full of Coca-Cola and Cheetos and stuff like that. And so she would have you pick off the snack cart, right? Because when people are there getting their chemo, and I thought, oh, I'm going to take photos of this every time I'm in this chair with my Coke. I'm going to send this to the Coca-Cola company, and I'm going to get them to donate money to this oncology department. That's what my mind was thinking, right? Right. Did y'all know that Coca-Cola actually inhibits the absorption of iron? And that's what I was in that chair getting hooked up to, and that's what the doctor was feeding me while I was getting my iron fed to me. I was also getting Coca-Cola, which inhibits that absorption. But I have this picture, tons of them. I don't know if you've seen my story, but I'm literally sitting there with nutrients going into my veins, and a Coca-Cola is always right next to me. And of course, I feel like the Lord orchestrated that for a reason, because people could actually see a very sick, I mean, I'm sure I looked great in the pictures. You know, everybody looks great when they're 105 pounds, right? But a sick Ryan in the chair getting an infusion with a Coca-Cola, to the transformation that I had to being a much healthier person. And so when you have a visual for people to see, I mean, that's what the team is for. So utilize all the testimonies that are out there, and also pay attention to yours, because I truly think that even if you don't have an amazing health testimony, I have a girl on my team. She didn't have anything radical happen with her health, and she hasn't had anything radical happen with her finances. But you know what she has had? She finally got a family and a community. And that right there is a huge testimony. She finally got people that loved her and cared about her and were going to pray for her and be with her. And that's something she's never had before. That's a testimony. So just be really aware of all the different aspects of your life and how plexus and the community affect you. Because a lot of people are looking for that. They want to be a part of something.
Yeah, so true. It's so, so true. All right, don't feel bashful to pipe in, guys, girls.
Yeah, ask me questions. It's my favorite thing.
Hi, Ryan. I'm driving. I hope you can hear me.
I can.
So I'm terribly curious to hear, as a brand new rookie, you didn't even really know what you were doing. Your first 3 people you got still. What was that conversation like? Like, did you just bowl them over because you were red and like sign 3 people up under them, or what did you tell them? And then when you got your 7 people, and how your mind has been set for education the whole time, and how has that evolved, and what's your favorite bit about just inspiring people to add people?
Okay. I think I heard most of that. It cut out a little bit, so if I didn't, correct me. But I think you're asking me, like, how did I go about when I signed somebody up? How did I get them to get 3 people? So I always go at it. First of all, I always utilize 3-way chats. And so when I first signed somebody up, I put them in a chat with Jessica Heffley, with her permission, obviously. And what happens is your sponsor doesn't have like an emotional connection or attachment or reservation about talking about the business with the person, because they're not personally connected, right? Like any of us can talk to anybody about the business if we don't know them, and we're not like, oh, I'm worried what they're going to think, or does that make sense? And so I really utilized in the beginning those 3-way message chats. And I also, if I was able to, and I was able to be one-on-one with them in person, I really utilized that. So I always make sure these 3 things, and this is part of my simple system with my team, okay? And a simple system is just that, it's simple. Number 1, I make sure they know how to take their products. I'm like, I want to make sure you're set up for success. I want to make sure they know how to take their products. I personally, and this is how I do it, I don't know how your team does it, but I don't send charts or schedules on how to take products, because certain personality types shut down and they're done. My people get 2 different times to take their products, morning, night. Because if people only have to take their products 2 times a day, they're more likely to be successful. So I say, these are your morning pills, these are your nighttime pills. Your morning pills and your drink, and your nighttime pills. That makes sense. So everybody learns they learn those 2 things. And then I say, okay, so that's your first step in getting healthy, is you're going to take your pills those 2 times a day, or your plexus, the 2 times a day. And then the third thing that I want everybody to know is, in order for you to be successful, you need 3 accountability partners, because it is a proven fact that you're 80% more likely to be successful in plexus if you have 3 accountability partners. So what 3 people? And you know what? A lot of people are like, oh no, I'm not interested in working the business. I don't want to do that. I'm like, oh yeah, girl, you don't have to work the business. I'm not talking about that. But like, I do all that. You don't need to worry about any of that. You just need to find 3 friends to take the products with you. So who do you have at work? What about your mom, your aunt, your sister? And just so you know, not everybody will give you 3 people. That's okay. But like, if they're like, I don't want to make a post, I don't want to do any of that, then I say, well, you just give me the names and I'll reach out for you and connect. And so I'll reach out to that person and say, hey, Jenny gave me your name. She's looking for some accountability partners with this new journey she's starting to get healthier. Would you be interested in doing that with her? And of course, she's in the chat with us, and some of them are like, no, I'm not interested in that. And some people are like, yeah, I'll jump on. And so that's another way I kind of get people in. But the third thing I have them do, so I have them learn how to take their products. I have them tell them we're going to get them 3 accountability partners. And then I always show them how we get paid. And that is such a huge, important thing, and personally to me. I think everybody needs to see how we get paid. Number 1, because I want them to visually see, if they do not get 100 PV, they are helping no one. They're not helping themselves, and they're not helping me. And usually they care a little bit about me. They want to help me. So if they're going to make a choice to not get 100 PV, then they need to downgrade to a customer. And then I like to sit down, and of course I utilized in the beginning Sonia Dudley's, simple compensation plan video. I love that. She draws in a little whiteboard. I even have a little whiteboard that looks just like hers in my office, because that was my aha moment that night when Jessica was like, girl, that's $15,000 a month. She sent me that video. She was like, watch this. And I watched it and it just clicked. So with Brittany Rhodes, that first ambassador I signed, on lunch break, the first day she signed up, I sat down and I wrote out the compensation plan. And I believe in my heart, everybody needs to know the compensation plan well enough to explain it to a 7-year-old. It's, this is me, and I draw it out for them. Because when people understand, you mean to tell me I can make $15,000 a month by getting 3 people and helping them get 3 people, but they're not doing it alone, because it's super simple, right? We have a super simple system and resources. And so those are the 3 things that I do, and that's how I'm really able to duplicate down. The other thing that I do is I focus on the people that want it. So I have a very deep team. I have 7 jewels on my team. I have a lot of levels. I go super, super, super deep, because if somebody really, really wants the business, they get my time and attention. And of course, my level ones, no matter what they are, wholesaler, customer, whatever it is, they get a lot of my time and attention. So I just pay a lot of attention to customer service as well. But that was the main thing that I did. I utilized 3-way message chats, and the team pages were a huge, huge, huge part of connecting them with the community. And I made sure they knew the value of getting 3 accountability partners, and I made sure they understood how we were getting paid. I don't know if that answers the question or not, but. I think it was Stephanie that was asking that, and I know she was having connection issues. I hope I answered that, what she was asking.
Yeah, no, I think you totally did.
Okay.
It's recording.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. When you ask them for their 3 names, for their accountability partners, and they said that they didn't, want to work the business, and so you said, don't worry about that, I'll do that for you. Did you go ahead then, you signed them up under her though? So she got the bonuses and everything?
That totally depends.
Okay.
It depends. I ask them. Like for instance, one of my, so Sarah Randolph is a jewel on my team. She was a customer of mine for a while. I paid for her products for a while. And then she became a customer, and then she decided, okay, but these products are awesome, but I'm never going to work this business because I'm a preacher's wife. Well, she had a friend, who really wanted to make money. And she was like, oh, you should do plexus. My friend Ryan does really well with that. And so she's like, hey, here's my friend Jessica. And I said, okay, are you going to work the business? She's like, no. I said, then I'm not putting her under you. She can go under me. And I had already put Sarah under my best friend, Beth. And so Sarah was already my level 2. And I wasn't going to put somebody under Sarah and make them my level 3 and help them work the business if Sarah was never going to work. I also knew that when this girl went silver, that Sarah would start working the business. And so I went ahead and I signed her under me. And so now I have a really good, strong leg going. A girl I never met who was really good friends with Sarah Randolph, yet she's not under her. Because if you flat out tell me, nope, I don't want to work the business, I'm not going to do it, I put them under me. Simply because if not, then sometimes you set yourself up for creating a check collector. And we always want to avoid doing that. And sometimes it does kind of kick them into action. They're like, wait a minute, those 3 people she just signed up, like, they're all friends with me. I could be making all of that money. And so, I don't know if that answers your question, but sometimes I put them under them and sometimes I put them under me. It just depends on, who they are.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty. Anyone else popping on? Everyone's soaking it all in, basking in the the amazingness. Alrighty. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for popping on. Thank you for sharing your story. It's been so good. So good.
Loved it. Congratulations, you guys. Y'all are awesome.
I
Keep
know.
going.
All right. There's going to be lots of Leaders Retreat earners. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Guys, have a great night. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.